City all again, bitch.
Yeah, what's up, Coach? How you doing? What's going on?
Doing good. How you doing today?
All right. My bad. Something wasn't working right, but we have Coach Ishmil Pierre from the Bronx, New York. Went to high school in the Queens. John Adams.
Yes, indeed.
How we doing today, man? I seen your post the other day. And it caught my attention because of the recruiting, but we'll get into that. But we brought something up. I was telling you about the realignment in my state, and you guys are having a realignment crisis in New York as well.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the realignment. It's bad enough that we already have to battle with not getting the respect that we deserve, because unlike other states where they have a full state platform of every high school that goes for a state championship, New York City, for one reason or another, is excluded from that. So now you want to go ahead and make a small problem even bigger by having all your schools on two divisions. That's not fair to these guys.
No, it's not. So all your boroughs, you're saying all the schools in the 5 boroughs, they're putting them all in 2 divisions?
Yeah, they're in 2 divisions right now. From my understanding, how it is now being set up, it went from being a bowl series, a city championship cup series, to just being a Division A and Division B. And the way it's going to be set up will be based off your school enrollment. So anything over 2,000, you're automatically going to go to the A division. Under 2,000, you'll go to the B division. So it's almost like how a lot of college divisions are set up.
So they're keeping it like regional, like it seems, you know. And before they wanted you to stay inside the New York City area, where was you playing? What teams were you playing compared to what you're gonna play now?
Oh, we're still playing the same guys. We'll still be seeing Clinton. We'll still be seeing Kennedy. We'll still see Tottenville, Erasmus Hall, who definitely are the big dogs in New York. We'll see John Adams. We'll see all those schools, but it's just I feel bad for the small schools such as Grady, who they didn't do all that good with their own series as far as in the lower division for B Cup, and now you have them playing against Erasmus Hall. And I think the PSAL board knew that was going to happen, so therefore they went and added another step to the insulting game by saying, well, guess what? You could go ahead and use the mercy rule because we will be implementing that also. So that's not fair to a lot of these guys.
No, it's not fair. And I also seen coaches with blowout scores get suspended for unsportsmanlike because I seen a basketball score. The score was ridiculous. The opposing team only scored 4 points, but they suspended the coach for unsportsmanlike for running up a score like that. But what are you gonna do when the league's setting up these type of games?
Yeah, and I mean, what the league doesn't pay attention to, in my opinion, is that these guys have 2 years to get their film together for these colleges. 2 years. Now, tomorrow's never granted. So when you go out there, you get your number called. You're not going to go ahead, run a ball for 5 yards and then take a knee because you don't want to go ahead and embarrass the other team. You're going to go ahead and think about it's being on your huddle film for you to send to that D1 school that you want to go to. So every time you touch that ball, every time you're in the center of the play, you want to do your very best to make that play and impress these colleges. At the end of the day, these colleges don't care about the score of the game. They care about your film, and these kids know that.
No, definitely. They definitely want to see the film. You guys have a lot of passing leagues going on in New York City?
Yeah, a lot of teams are more of a passing game, but a lot of them run. One thing I will say about all the coaches in New York City high school is that they're smart. They will all tailor their game based off of their strengths and weaknesses. So let's say, for example, 1 year you might have a team that you have a bunch of dogs on the line that can block for you. You're going to go ahead, you're going to run that ball till somebody proves they can stop you. Another year, you may not have strong running backs, so you're going to jump into doing a spread offense because that weak running back you have may have hands like Jerry Rice. Every year is a year that you have to adapt to what you have and make the best out of it.
I've seen a few clips on Josephus Toledo. Am I saying his name right? I think he should be a junior this year.
Yes, he is.
He looked like he could be a pretty explosive player. He's
At
a running back, right?
Yes, and he will be playing a lot of linebacker for us this year.
Nice. And you're the running back coach as well as the junior varsity defensive coach, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
How are your numbers for your program? Do you have a lot of kids are showing up for sign-ups this season?
We do have a lot of numbers. The numbers that we can't exactly determine will be our number of incoming freshmen. That's what we're looking at because depending on our number of incoming freshmen, we could then make the move to move some sophomores up to varsity or move some more talented freshmen up to varsity so that way we have a good number on JV and a good number on varsity. But we will do what we have been known to do in the past, which is if there are guys on JV that have proven themselves worthy of being on varsity and can handle being in that spotlight, we'll go ahead and move them up either towards the middle of the season or we'll move them up around playoff time to see if they can handle the pressure.
What do you guys see problems? Say if there's a player that goes to Lehman and he wants to transfer over to Quincy. Is that allowed or is there a problem? Are there rules that prevent kids going from public to public outside their borough?
Not at all. And it's definitely not a problem because of this. As long as the transfer process is done correctly, you can go wherever you want. I'll use Capital Prep because that's the last program I coached with. When we originally shut down for COVID, Capital Prep is a charter school. They were not part of PSL. They were not part of the Capital School League. So they could do what they want when they wanted to. We had a flock of guys that left their current schools to transfer over to Capital Prep, which is located in Harlem, New York. It was a little bit of a rocky first season because it was their inaugural season. Second season, we still did a lot of battling with COVID funding to go ahead and travel for these games and finding a place to play. However, the third season came around. I'm not too sure exactly what happened because by that time I already departed, but the team started splitting up going certain ways. And some of the better players decided to go to New York Military Academy underneath Coach Keese, who's up there with a few of the guys from Capital Prep coaching staff. And then two of the young men that were good players that I wish would have came to Lehman decided to go to Erasmus Fall. And one of them actually had a breakout spring season with Erasmus Fall as far as working out and in camps. And he's already has 2 offers as a junior defensive end.
Nice. Shout out to him. Now, you was talking about that you have a lot of people in your comments hating and stuff, recruiting. You want to get into some of that?
Well, I would say this. A lot of people are upset that now that football is growing in New York, that there's a school stepping outside a borough to go and recruit. Guess what? You're going to do what you have to do. But where I have a problem at is I don't appreciate when coaches are looking out so much for their football program, they forget what is a real eye on the prize, which is these kids and their education. If the parents would like their child to go ahead and take a 2-hour trip from the southern part of Brooklyn, let's say like Coney Island, up to the Bronx to play football, all well and all good. But what time are you leaving for that young man's education? All right. If the young man can handle that travel and it's not messing with his schoolwork, go right on ahead. I'll tell you right now, colleges do not want a young man that could be a 4-star player on the field, but a 1.7 student in the classroom because most of his time is spent on a train, sleeping and doing schoolwork.
Yeah, no, I have recruiters say don't even bother. If you can't bring A's and B's, it's not even worth it. Like, they're not taking C's and D's no more. Especially with the transfer portal now, it's getting even more competitive. So you want to go to college, you better be on your A game. But no, I kind of understand. So you got to be selective of what schools you look at because you're right. You don't want to take an hour and a half ride on a train to get to school. You got to get up 4 in the morning.
Exactly. And every weekend with my recruiting staff, we have a plan of action of what youth leagues we would like to go visit. And I set the standard whereas as long as that young man can make it to school within an hour and a half, we can deal with that. But anything more than an hour and a half, I don't want you taking that chance because a lot of schedules being at Lehman campus, we're split up into 4 different schools. Your school is scheduled to start as early as 8 a.m. So now that means you have to get up at 5 or 6 a.m. to make it to school on time if you live in Canarsie, Brooklyn, or Staten Island. I'm not going to put you through all of that. Practice ends about 5:30, 6 o'clock. So you're not getting home till 7:30, 8 o'clock. And now you have to sit there, do your homework if you have homework left, study your plays or whatever you need to do, prepare for the next day of school. What time does that leave for you to be a kid? These are still teenagers. They still need time to have their fun and do what they need to do without letting schoolwork fall off. And a lot of guys don't pay attention to that.
And to get from Brooklyn to Staten Island, especially at them times, it's no easy trip.
It's not. Now I will say there are certain schools that have the funding from their alumni to go ahead and do that. Their boosters, where they will go ahead and set up a bus to go pick kids up from a certain location and bring them across the water. By all means, if that's what you want to do for these guys, my hat's off to you. I thank you for doing that for these guys because now they're going somewhere where they can play, where they're happy, and they're getting our best education. But a lot of public schools, we don't have the means to do that.
I feel you. Stand by 1 second. I just got to play this quick video promoted by a sponsor. Give me 1 second. We have Coach Ishmil, Calling in from the Bronx.
Some cases to get a kid to a school, but if you want to get a kid up in a private school, it's bang bang 1 2 3. I don't think that's fair. It's kind of punishing. If you look at it, right, it's kind of actually punishing the less fortunate. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of punishing the kids who can't afford a tuition. So what does that really tell you about the socioeconomics, about the rules that's in place? You know what I'm saying? So I think it goes a lot deeper. So I think rules like that, you know what I'm saying, would help, the smaller schools and the public schools. So, I definitely think that's something that, the league should be open to, especially with the disparities between public.
Yeah, he's definitely right. That's my man, Coach Mike Washington, Central Knights, Providence, Rhode Island. That's brought to you by Breakthrough 7v7 Summer Passing League coming up at Conley Stadium. Excuse me. So, Coach Pierre, man, let's get back into it, man. You got a lot of time in youth football.
Yeah, I do. For me, I was never part of youth football when I was growing up. I never really started being into football until I was in high school, and that's because that was my way of venting out a lot of personal things I had going on. Then being in the military, then moving down to Florida where I played college football, that's when I had my passion of giving back to the younger generation. I wanted to give them something that I didn't have, which is a coach being a big brother / father figure, and a close friend, and then somebody that wanted to see the best for their future. So I started out coaching flag football in Tallahassee, Florida, from 2005 up to 2010. Once I relocated back to New York, then from there, I found out about the North Bronx Cowboys. I coached with them for about 3 years, and that's in Co-op City where I live at. That was a great feeling to just be able to walk downstairs out from my apartment building and then literally walk onto the field where the kids be waiting to have practice. A few things happened, unfortunately, politically, and that organization shut down. And then from there, a couple of guys said, "Hey, Ish, we love what you're doing. We see what you're doing. We see you've been taking care of business. Would you like to come coach with us at the Bronx Wolfpack?" And from there, that became my number one home. And I did that up until last year when I finally retired from coaching youth football.
Now, how hard is it coaching in the Bronx? Because I talked to my man Mike Washington down in Providence, and he said it don't stop at X's and O's. He said, taking these jobs in these areas where you have poverty, some of these kids, going home is not an option. How hard is it to coach on some of these inner city programs?
It's very hard, but it's very hard for multiple reasons. It's hard because, one, with it being so many people that have the same goal, which is giving these kids a safe haven from the streets, you have multiple different programs, and sometimes you may have 3 programs in the same area. I will say this, and I know a lot of people hate me for saying this, but I'm a realist. There are a lot of people that they want to put up a cloud of smoke as if they're in it for the kids, but they're in it to fatten their pockets. Mm-hmm. And it shows because when you don't have the numbers to produce a full program, why hold those kids hostage in your program, keep their parents' money in your pocket because you need the money or because you want to use the money for something else, build it for your next season, when you could go ahead and have these kids easily go to the next organization that has the room for them, that will give them a loving home and let them have a season. Kids want to get out there and play football. They don't want to sit around and watch people get shot up all day long, ducking from bullets.
That's a fact. I just seen some shit going on in Harlem, I think, last night, right?
Yeah, last night.
There was like a big mass shooting, and I mean, that's happens in New York a lot, but it's crazy. Nah, you're absolutely right. We got to keep these kids on the field, get them motivated to college, instead of seeing what happens when they turn their life over to the streets. And it's very easy. We're in the biggest time ever for fatherless homes. How many homes don't have a father?
Yeah, and also to prove that was when we did the shutdown for COVID, not only did we lose a lot of kids to the streets because that's all they really had to turn to, we lost them in the schools also. And that's why I was so proud to meet with Coach George Alisi and Pat Goddard, who was a big standout from Clemson. is because these guys understood that an About You program was really about getting these guys off the street. We did a lot of sit-ins. We did a lot of meetings with a lot of politicians, did a lot of protests, so that way they would start opening up these schools, getting sports back into the schools, letting these guys back on the fields, back on the courts, back in the gyms, wherever they want to be at to play sports, because a lot of these guys understood the only way you can get further in your sport is to keep yourself in the schools, keep yourself in the classrooms. And once they started seeing that the grades were getting better, once we had people going back onto the field and things of that nature, then they said, you know what? They got a point. Things are easing up now. Let's get these guys back on the field. And I'm glad it took 2 years, but I'm glad somebody finally said, all right, let's ease up. Let's get them back on the field. And now a lot of these grades are going back up.
No, because New York, didn't you guys have to like do a COVID test to or have wasn't something required in order for you guys to get onto the field in New York?
Yeah, it was a big thing. I don't know about other states, but I know in New York, we have what I like to call the separation of state and church.
Yep. Okay.
And that's because with the Catholic schools, they were allowed to go ahead, be back on the field, and everything was decided by the archdiocese on whether kids would be able to play, having a COVID test or not. A lot of parents started seeing that. So just like the coach in Providence saying was that you have now a financial thing becoming the new spotlight. Do you have the money to put your child in a Catholic school so your child could get on the field, play football, and let that be his meal ticket into college? What are you willing to sacrifice to do that? And believe me, I've heard of parents. I know one personally that literally has gone ahead and taken all his money and invested it into their child going to a Catholic school so that way they get the better education or they get the better playing time on the football field so they get the better look from the colleges.
And you can't blame these parents.
Not
you really
at all.
Can't blame the parents for making the best decision for their kids. Parents are going to make the best decision for their children.
Exactly. And that's one thing I say to the parents. I've told a parent that on Saturday when I went to visit the Springfield Rifles in Jamaica, Queens. You know, yes, I'm out there for Lehman, but as long as you talk to me openly and let me know what it is that is your concern, I will give you my best answer. And she said to me, she's like, Coach Ish, does Lehman have an engineering program? I said, Lehman does not. And then she mentioned my son is in Brooklyn and I'm looking for somewhere where he could play in Brooklyn. So I said to her, I'm like, okay, you know what? This is what I'll do. I will go ahead, give me your contact information. I'll give you mine. Give me 3 days. Once I get home, I'll start doing some research and I'll find something for you. Ironically, one of my teammates from when I played in John Adams, he is now a coach at Transit Tech. He said, hey, I have an engineering program. Larry, hey, do me a favor. Call this young lady. Please talk to her. And let's see what we can do to get her son to apply to your school and get him in with you. I don't care about the amount of championships we get. What I care about is how many guys you get into college and what happens once they get out of college. That's the amount of wins I count in my lifetime.
That's a fact. You know, one coach said signing day. That's what's important when I see these kids on signing day. Yeah, I mean, so what do we have to do as a community, as a whole, Rhode Island, New York, New Jersey, together, to come together to make our states better for these kids, get these kids on the field? Because as we approach these older years, we learn that the streets are all bullshit. It's a lie. You know what I mean? Like all this being cool shit. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to be cool. And as we get older, we realize this. So what do we do to reach these kids now?
We have to understand, and this is mostly an African-American family saying, but it should be a saying for everyone. It takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah, I heard that.
You see that young man walking by you every single day on his way to football practice or on his way to some type of practice, that means he's doing something positive. He's not in the streets. Help him get to where he wants to be at. A lot of these kids, unfortunately, can't make it to Atlanta, Ohio, and all these places where they have these prospect camps. With youth football, the only way a lot of these kids are getting noticed is that they have to be part of an organization that has a very big booster that is willing to pay for 30 kids and help their parents pay for their plane tickets to go to nationals in Florida or wherever else. You know, help these kids out get to where they want to go to. I think by fact, there's only maybe 5 or 6 teams that will honestly every year expect them to have a team somewhere in nationals, multiple teams in nationals.
Is that
That's
youth football or high school?
youth football, Staten Island Hurricanes.
Who's that? Coach
Brooklyn,
J, PB and J. Are you familiar with him?
yes, I am.
He was on my show a couple weeks ago when I was doing the Voice Sports. I think he just got back from the sports farm. It was New York versus New Jersey. I think it was. They had a big, and I think New York took everything, man. New York
Yeah,
went to Jersey, took everything.
New York football's coming up. I will go ahead and say this. Starting with Riot Squad, which unfortunately is half of E Hall's team right now. They went down there and they put a beating on everybody. From that point, New York football was on the map. Colleges started taking notice. Even NFL players started taking notice like, yo, there's some dogs in New York that play football. Why have we been sleeping on them for so long? They don't have a 1 or 2 diamonds in the rough. They have a lot of diamonds in the rough. Let's go ahead and start taking more visits up there. And it shows. It shows. Every time we do an Elite 5 prospect camp, we will have about 75 colleges physically in attendance, and then we'll have well over 100 live streaming to know who it is that they want to get in contact with, who to reach out to, and things of that nature. And surprisingly, the HBCU market is now coming into New York looking for players.
Good.
We have Delaware State. Hats off to them because it's only been Morgan State, but now it's Delaware State now dipping into the New York market because they have an eye on a guy in Lehman also who they already want to extend an offer to come down there and play football. You know, so yeah, it's coming out there. Deion Sanders, he does a lot of podcasts here in New York when Jackson State is not in season. He's even popped up at a few high schools or sent some of his agents to a few high schools to see, you know, how they're doing and if there's a possibility that they can invite down there to explore what being part of the HBCUs.
Dion killing it. That transfer portal is tough for high school kids. Listen, high school kids, you're competing with college kids right now. And it's crazy because, and I'll tell this to college kids too, don't be so fast to jump in that transfer portal. For one, you give up your scholarship. I think out of the 56% of kids that was stuck in there, I think only 20% of them found homes. So the number's still high about the amount of kids that get stuck in that transfer portal. So don't think that transfer portal is all it's cracked up to be either. But I tell that to the high school kids.
It's not, and I'm glad you brought that point up because, you know, a lot of these guys, they don't want to push out the best grades while they're in high school. And they say once they get to D3, then it'll be easy to transfer up. And it's not. It's really not. You can go D3 and be a 4-star player on the field, but that won't help you out if your grades ain't showing D1 grades as well.
But you got D1 kids that are running to D3 schools right now. Like, they're flocking to D3 schools, you know. It's just a whole different ball game now. I mean, if you can get on a D3 school, get it. I'll tell any kid, don't give up a D3 because you think you're D1. Everyone, oh, my kid's D1 in a vacuum. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be real with some of these people.
Yeah, and it sucks. There was a young man at the last Elite 5 camp that we had. He had a D3 school offer him on the spot, and he turned his nose up to it because he never heard of them before. But the thing he didn't realize, and I talked to him afterwards, so I don't know if you got in contact with them or not, or they just never gave him another look. I told him, like, first off, a lot of guys would give to go ahead and play in front of their family still in college. A lot of them, once they get into college, their family will never see them play again unless it's on TV. And that's maybe once or twice during the season. Number two, New York City is not the center of the world. That D3 school is somewhere upstate It may be in another state, but you just turn down your chances to go ahead and move yourself around. So who do you think yourself because you think you're too good for that?
Yeah, I seen it. I seen it firsthand. I'm sure you've seen it yourself. I seen kids to lose opportunities, and then they're calling now when the signing period is over. You know, now they're getting ready for next season. So don't give that up, Coach Ish. Listen, I welcome you back. If any other coaches want to promote New York City football, let's go, man. I'm here for football in general. It don't matter where you're from. You know, if you want to come on after your high school games and promote it real quick, it's the same. You know, talk about your game, win or lose or whatever. Tell us some kids that we should be looking out for. Why should recruiters be paying attention in New York City? Give it to me.
Recruiters should pay attention to New York City because New York City kids are hungry. Once again, thanks off to E Hall because they've been on the grind. They've been sending kids out west with their boosters helping out. So once Arizona State set their eyes on Amar Bethea and picked them up, and now we have a lot of kids from E Hall getting looks. Everybody wants a shot at E Hall because they know now their kids getting a look. At Lehman, we don't care who we play. Our kids come out early in the morning, they work hard, and they continue working hard to the end of the day. From class of 2023, my honorable mention right now would be Aaron Ramos, who is my running back and strong safety. Isaiah Costa, who is a free safety wide receiver. Those two guys right now, they have come out of nowhere to start taking the team by storm to show they want to compete and play inside Yankee Stadium at the end of the season. Class of 24, we have Dubai Frugon, offensive lineman, defensive lineman. This guy, he's hands-on, the biggest, hardest dog I have. He will sit there, he will fight tooth and nail, and he will not stop until he hears that whistle blow 3 or 4 times because it's all about family. And then right next to him, we have Hanson Barr. That's another guy that's shown that he could be a leader, and he'll leave it on the field for you, rain, hail, sleet, or snow, because he's another one that wants to show New York City has ballers. And that's the term we go by every day at Lehman. New York City has ballers. Bring it. Whoever wants it, we want to play you.
Hey, Coach, I love to get you on during the season. I love for you to bring some of the team on. We can have up to 9 people on at the same time, man. I would love to give them kids some shine. Let's put some light on New York City. Anyway, yo, you look a little like K-Shine.
Yeah, like
you
I
look
said,
a little like K-Shine.
we ready. We ready. The football guys are playing in our favor. I can't remember the last time the Bronx has been a hot spot for football, because when you got your big 4 dogs all matching up at one point or another in the season, it's gonna be fireworks. We start off the season with just having Kennedy on the schedule. We've always been rivals with Kennedy, but now guess what? We've expanded that. We got us a game against Truman. We got Kennedy. We went ahead and added Clinton, and we're going to see what's going to happen. The Bigfoot dogs, we're going to bump heads, and then we're going to really have the Battle of the Bronx, and once again, bring out that crown to see who the king of the Bronx.
You had the Cole kid last year, right? Tishawn. What's his, was he on the team?
Not that I know.
Was it Tayshawn Cole?
Tayshawn Cole, but I'm not too sure if he was with us or not, because last year I came on a little bit late in the season, and I was focusing really with the JV last year.
Okay.
To get those guys together.
All right, yo, Coach, you're always welcome, man. I hope we can have you back, man. Go New York City, you know. Shout out everything that you have going on up at Lehman High School. Listen, other New York City, you know, football programs, you're welcome to come on. Hit me up. Can we keep it real? We're on Amazon Music now. We're on iHeartRadio, Spotify. We doing it, man. So, you know, you want to promote a product, hit me up. Coach Ish, man, I hope you'll come back soon. Any last messages for the peoples?
Yeah, look, like I said, it takes a village to raise a child. Support these schools, support these boys. Also, support the young ladies. We got quite a few young ladies that's out there playing football as well. Don't sit there discourage them just because they may not hit as hard as these guys, because football is not all about a power game. It's about the smartest one out there, and it's about technique. colleges. Stop sleeping on New York City football, because I promise you, that next big player you have is gonna come out of New York City, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah, listen, Coach, man, you get some film on the kid. If he's got transcripts, hit me up. Send me his numbers. I'll get him into the right hands, Coach. Coach Ishmil Peer coming out of Lehman High School, doing his thing out there in the Bronx, man. Yo, we'll see what happens this season with the borough teams playing each other. That's going to be crazy. First time in a long time. Coach, thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. Everybody have a good night. Thank you, guys.
All right. That was Coach Ishmil Peer, the Bronx. See, we crossing state lines. You know, we trying to get all these kids some love. We're trying to get all these kids some looks. If you're a coach, you want to come on the program, let me know. You know, big shout out to everything they have going on out there in New York. Any coaches out there in New York, you want to come on, promote your program. Let's go.
What's up, Luke? This is Coach Dunbar. First off, man, congratulations on graduating high school. I know you got a really bright future ahead of you. I know you're going to do great things at Bryant University. You're a hell of a player. Everybody in Westerly is going to miss you. Keep striving to be great. Keep pushing yourself. The sky is the limit for you, man. And if you apply yourself and if you push yourself, you're going to end up playing on that field for Bryant University, man. So, Coach Dunbar checking in. I can't be on Mikey's show tonight, but I just wanted to say some kind words for you, man, and I wanted to inspire you to keep going, man. And I'm going to miss you, but I know you'll be close, and I'll definitely be coming to Bryant University to watch you play.
Get ready, it's coming. You hunting or you running? Get ready, get ready, get ready, ready. It's coming. It's coming.
Yo, here we go. Get ready. It's coming, man. Yo, everybody, thank you, man. We're supposed to have Ronnie Spazzato, Westerly Bulldogs, state champs, Division II. So I'm going to see what's up with Ronnie. But there we go. We had Coach Ish from Lehman out there in the Bronx. It looks like they're having the same problem with realignment that we have it, man. But how does all the New York City teams, the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, they all going to be end up playing each other? Big shout out to Breakthrough, sponsors of the show. Big shout out to Coldwell Bankers, Coastal Homes, Mock Wright. Big shout out to you, everything that you guys have going on. It looks like football has started. A lot of practices going on today. You know, a lot of teams have their kids showing up. Did your team start yet? I seen EWG already picked. It was kind of funny because I showed a little clip and it said that EWG has their starting 5, and somebody was like, don't you need 11? And I thought that was, but it's kind of funny that Coach Stringfeld already has his quarterback picked, his starting, you know, his core starting players. What else did I want to respond about? You know what? Shout out to everybody that joined the show tonight. It was nice to talk to my guys out there in New York City. We're going to have more coaches coming on from Queens, the Bronx, this season. Rhode Island football, New York City football. We're going to put some light on New York City. Now you have all the boroughs that are basically playing in the same division. You think we have problems. You think it's spicy. It's going to be spicy down there in New York City. Shout out to Coach J, PB&J Youth Football, what they have going on. I can't wait. Big shout out to the Seahawks. Did y'all see what the Seahawks was able to get done? I think I have it here. Where is it? Oh, I thought I had it here somewhere. Let me see. Hang on. Well, the Seahawks was able to win, like, not one, not two, like 3 championships. Where Where is it? I know I had it somewhere. They was able to win a couple different championships. I'm really looking. Stand by. Give me a minute. Nope, it's not there. I promise I'll definitely find it. But yeah, shout out to the Seahawks. They was able to win a couple different championships, you know, bring it back to the North End Seahawks. I love everything they have. Oh, here we go. Yesterday, the North End Seahawks flag team won all 3 championships in their Play 60 championship, champions of championships. Listen, if you got a program you want to promote, you got something going on, you got a passing league, we getting the word out there. You know, good numbers for yesterday's show. The Mount Pleasant head coach, Jay Addison. And what I meant, Mark Gorman got a little upset because I said both programs lost control. I meant towards the end of the game, it seemed like that control was lost a little bit with the jumping on the 50-yard line. You know, that's what I meant. I mean, I didn't mean you had no control the whole game. But we'll definitely get into more of that very, very soon. But I didn't mean Tolman had no control over the game. I just meant towards the end, you know, the kids are jumping on the 50-yard line. I still like to know. We'll talk about that soon. Shout out Rally Point. Shout out Mark Wright. Get out to that 7-on-7 passing league coming up. Big shout out to Breakthrough. Everything they have going on. But let me know what you guys got going on this summer for these youth camps going on. Congratulations to Ronnie Spazzato. Westerly won a state championship. Who else won states? Westerly won states. Bishop Hendricken won states. Are we surprised Bishop Hendricken won? Are we surprised that Bishop Hendricken won states? But yeah, it was real nice to have Coach Ishan. I like to have Coach Ishan again. But if you want to come on the show, definitely let me know. Let me see. What do we have here?
Let's go, come take a ride through my city life. See what my city's like. It's the city life, for some it's a shitty life. This is city living, mostly them city children. From my bedroom, see the lights of them city buildings. Ain't gotta act hard, private's my backyard. I run road out, you can call me a track star. And we a team, homie, all is one. I don't sleep until all is done. I ain't ruckus, so please don't call me Mr. 401. It's Mr. Rags, you can call me, I'm still in that 401. From where we was, look at all we become. For what it's worth, I put my all in the sun. Know that my city love it, my city's budget. About my city's public, know how my city does it. Let me handle my city business, then I ride you outside of them city limits.
Okay, that's fine. People can talk crazy about me. That's fine. They should express themselves, and they have a right to. But I also get to say what you know. I'm like a
Real Podcast Network. Shout out to Can We Keep It Real Podcast and Network. Appreciate it.
People, bro. Like thanking me for speaking on things, bro, that other people are not speaking on, bro. For thanking me for keeping it real on topics that other platforms are not going to be keeping it real on. Like, you have no idea. The ratio doesn't even...
Goodbye, farewell, so long. I said hello, goodbye, farewell, so long. I said uh-oh, did the truth come out again? Movie, do you know how it ends? They say babies are just like the angels. Tell me why you know how to see it.